didn't seem to have much of a outward reaction, Miss Tice. What were your thoughts there when Mr. Biros was pronounced dead?
Oh, I was very happy. This is one of my most happy days of my life.
Why?
It's been too long.
Why were you so happy?
Why? They ruined my family.
On February 7th, 1991, 22-year-old Tammy Ingstrom went to a bar called the Nickelodeon Lounge, which was located in Masbury, Ohio, 20 minutes from Youngstown. Tammy was thought to be in good hands that night as her uncle owned the bar and was working. Throughout the evening, it was apparent to any at the bar that Tammy was becoming inebriated. She later passed out in her chair. One of the people at the bar that night was one Kenneth Biros. Biros was acquainted with the owner of the bar but was a stranger to Tammy. Kenneth offered to take Tammy to get her some coffee to sober her up. That was the last time she was seen alive. Tammy's husband, Andy Ingstrom, who had earlier been looking for his wife, had shown up to Tammy's job with a gift, but was told she had left earlier and went to the Nickelodeon. Andy called the bar and was told Tammy left with her uncle, Daniel Hillner. Andy then went to sleep. The following day, when he woke up, he noticed that Tammy still had not come home. He and Sharon King, a friend of Tammy's, went down to the bar and noticed that Tammy's car was still there. At some point, Andy learned that Tammy had been taken by Kenneth Biros to go get some coffee and had never returned. Andy then drove to Biros' house to ask him about Tammy's whereabouts. He claimed that as he was driving, Tammy freaked out and jumped out of his vehicle and started running in between houses in a neighborhood in Sharon, Pennsylvania, which is a town that hugs the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. He told Tammy's husband that he had tried to chase her down but was unable to catch her. When asked why he had not called the police, he stated that he was scared of getting arrested for a DUI. Several of Tammy's family members stated to Biros that if he had anything to do with her disappearance or had hurt her, that they would, quote, rip his heart out. Other individuals who spoke with Biros noticed he had unexplained scratches on his hands and arms at a wound under his eye. He said he had injured himself because he had to break a window after locking himself out of his house, and the cut under his eye was from him chopping wood. Biros, claiming no wrongdoing, even went as far as to assist in the search. That same day, Biros' mother found a gold ring on the bathroom floor in her home, whom Biros was living with at the time. At first, Biros claimed he knew nothing about the ring. Then later he said that maybe he thought that, quote, crazy girl who jumped out of my car, unquote, had left it there in his car. He told his mother he would take the ring back to the bar, but instead hid the ring in the ceiling. On Saturday, February 9th, Tammy's family and friends spent hours searching for her in Sharon, Pennsylvania. They also searched a wooded area along the railroad tracks where Biros' home on Kingsgraves Road was. However, the search party was unable to find any clues into the disappearance of Tammy. On that following Saturday, police left a message on Biros' answering machine requesting that he come to the police station for questioning. Biros drove down to the police station to discuss Tammy's disappearance with Brookfield Township and Sharon, Pennsylvania police officers. Police informed the Biros that he was not under arrest and that he was free to leave at any time. During questioning, Biros reiterated the same basic story that he had previously told Tammy's friends and relatives. Specifically, Biros told police that he had left the Nickelodeon with Tammy in the early morning hours of February 8th to get food or some coffee at a random restaurant or location in Sharon, Pennsylvania. Biros had claimed that Tammy had passed out in his vehicle after they left the Nickelodeon. Biros told police he had stopped at an ATM machine to withdraw some money, and at that point is when Tammy woke up and insisted Biros drive her back to the bar. As they were driving, Biros told police that Tammy jumped out of the car. When detectives asked if Tammy had grabbed her purse before she jumped out, Biros said that the next day, after the event occurred, when he was cleaning out his car, he did not see anything she might have left. At some point during the interview, Captain John Cleric of the Sharon Police Department began questioning Biros' version of the story. Cleric had suggested that Biros had maybe somehow made some unwanted sexual advances towards Tammy, which might have made her flee from the vehicle. Biros denied making any sexual advances. Cleric also suggested that Biros had made an unwanted sexual advance towards Tammy and that when she jumped out of the moving vehicle, perhaps she accidentally struck her head. Biros denied that as well. Upon further questioning, Cleric suggested that maybe an accident had occurred in which Tammy had fallen out of the vehicle and struck her head. At that point, Biros responded, yes, and admitted that he had done something very bad. Cleric had offered to speak to Biros alone away from the other officers, and Biros agreed. According to Cleric, after the other officers left, Biros stated, quote, "It's just like you said. We were in the car together. We were out along the railroad tracks. I touched her hand, and then I touched her knee, and then I went further. I either touched or felt her leg, something like that. She pushed my hand away. The car wasn't quite stopped. She opened the door and fell out and hit her head on the train tracks," unquote. Biros told Cleric that Tammy had died because of the blow to the head. After being read his Miranda rights, Biros had repeated the story in front of the other police officers. Biros told police that Tammy's body was in Pennsylvania. When officers asked for the exact location, Biros asked for an attorney, and after speaking with his counsel, he agreed to show police the precise location of Tammy's body. In the early morning hours of Sunday, February 10, 1991, Biros showed detectives the area where Tammy's body could be found. Authorities discovered portions of Tammy's body in a wooded area in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Police also found several other portions of her body in a desolate wooded area in Venango County, 30 miles north of the Butler site. Tammy's head and right breast were severed from her torso. Her leg had been amputated above the knee. The body was completely naked except for what appeared to be remnants of black stockings that had been purposely rolled down her legs. The torso had been cut open and the abdominal cavity had been eviscerated. Forensic technicians, police, and homicide investigators searched the area of the railroad tracks where Kingsgrave Road was, where Biros indicated the incident with Tammy had occurred. There, investigators discovered a large amount of blood-stained gravel near the railroad tracks. Investigators also found blood splatters on the sides of the steel tracks. Bloodstains and swabbings of the area were taken to a laboratory and tested. Results confirmed to be consistent with Tammy's blood. A search of a nearby swampy area resulted in the discovery of the intestines of the victim. A search of the Biros house resulted in the discovery of the jacket Biros was seen wearing that night, as well as a knife found in the basement. Both items tested positive for trace amounts of the victim's blood, as well as a pair of shoes belonging to Biros, which had a single hair which was found to be consistent with the hair of the victim. The autopsy later determined that Tammy suffered 91 pre-mortem injuries, which were indicative of a severe beating. The knife found was believed to be the one used to accomplish the amputations. With respect to the victim's death, said Dr. William A. Cox, Summit County Coroner Medical Examiner, "I believe she died of asphyxiation due to strangulation. The victim had been strangled to death over a period of 4 to 5 minutes. The mucosal lining of the esophagus was torn, indicating that there was a degree of retching and vomiting during this period." During the trial's defensive arguments, Biros, testifying on his own accord, claimed that he tried to take her home as she had fallen asleep in the car and that when she woke up, she started yelling at him and that she didn't know him and struck him in the face. That is when he hit Tammy in the face with his forearm in self-defense. When she jumped out and started screaming at the top of her lungs, he then grabbed her and cupped his hands over her mouth to prevent her screaming, and that is when she stopped breathing. He then proceeded to dismember her to cover up the crime. Biros, in a weird way, claiming it was self-defense was ludicrous to the jury, and they did not buy it. On October 29th, 1991, Kenneth Biros was found guilty of Tammy Ingstrom's murder and was sentenced to death. The sentence was carried out December 8, 2009. This photo is the hearse carrying Biros' corpse after the execution. And here we are. This is our final stop on this video. We're gonna go visit the final spot where a truly demonic, sick, and twisted individual's corpse was taken and put. But before we visit that spot, I've been here before actually. So I did a story on this kid right here. That's Brad Bellino. He's buried with his father, Joseph. He was found murdered back in 1972 in Boardman, which is not even less than 10 miles from here. 50 years later, that case is still unsolved. If you want to watch the video that I did on it, if you have not watched so already, I will link it in the description box, and I will put it in the comments in the pinned link. So anyway, so I'm here at this mausoleum, right? Now this guy, somebody made a find a grave about this guy, and it says simply mausoleum. It says bro such and such, blah, blah, blah. So there's two mausoleums in this location. This is the main one, and there's a smaller one, a newer one on the other side of the property. So I'm looking, right? I'm looking, and I don't see this guy's name. So I'm walking, and I see these stairs. And I get a little bit of a funny feeling, right? Now, I don't really believe too much in the paranormal. I'm sure it exists. I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into the hocus pocus. Unless it's related to a crime that I'm doing a video on and there's aspects of it, like reported stories, I'll mention it. But other than that, I don't go chasing ghost stories. But I come to this location, right? And this looks a little bit spooky, right? Okay, the hairs on my neck are starting to rise up. And I don't know if this is a basement where there's more crypts or what. So I just kind of go and I kind of peek. And of course, there's a row of crypts. And as I get down here, all of a sudden it gets very, very cold. Now, of course, it's going to be cold. It's a basement and the AC is on, right? Air conditioning. So I'm walking around and the hairs on the back of my neck get a little bit prickly, you know? And I'm looking up and down and I don't see this guy's name. Normally I like to walk around and try to find the graves myself. If I can't find them, I'll just go ahead and call the office. So of the whole place, this whole cemetery that I looked over, this is the only place that gave me, I would say, the creeps. So I called the office and I said, yeah, I'm looking for Kenneth Biros. And they said, oh yeah, go to this mausoleum and then go downstairs, and then all of a sudden it's starting to make sense. So I get the directions from the gentleman on the phone, and here he is, right here. Even beyond the grave, he's giving people the creeps. This is the grave of Kenneth Biros. And of course, there is no marker. It's just blank. And of course, for good reason. This guy was a complete and utter scumbag. So I was not surprised that I got a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, even though I don't really follow too many paranormal stories. That's not what this channel's for. But of course, hey, the future is unknown to any and all. Maybe I will touch on it, just not really my thing. But anyways, enough about that. Rest in peace to that poor girl that he brutally murdered, Tammy Ingstrom. And I am on to the next episode, if you will. I want to remind you guys out there that not every story is a good story, especially this channel. I know I got a lot of bad stories. Some are worse than others. And I do upload often enough where if I upload a video and you don't particularly like that subject matter or that video, you know, I'm going to upload at least 2 or 3 other times. And don't forget, I also got Fascinating Graveyard. That channel, I wouldn't say it's a little lighter, but still, it is a channel about cemeteries and graveyards and what have you. So if you haven't subscribed to that, if you want, check it out. You might like it. There's more like famous graves on there. I don't stick to any particular subject. I don't go to a million famous graves, but it is what it is. And rest in peace to Bradley Bellino too, and his father Joseph. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I will catch up with you on the next vlog. I'm hitting the road. There's a bad storm coming. You can see it over there. It's coming my way. So I gotta make tracks. Catch up with you guys later. Have a good one. Be safe, y'all. Always be aware of your surroundings. You never know who's lurking. You never know who's watching. It truly can be sometimes a very, very dangerous world. See you on the next video. Peace out.